So we're here at Emirates Stadium for the start of another WSL season with a huge game here between Arsenal and Manchester City. Obviously the game brings Arsenal face to face with Vivianne Miedema straight away after she left this summer for Manchester City, and I'll be honest, I really don't like that. I really feel like, given the amount of controversy, some of the ill feeling, I feel like that could have waited a few months, and I've got a feeling the player herself might feel that as well, but it's here now and both teams are going to have to deal with it, and clearly Arsenal are going to have to deal with the threat of Vivianne Miedema, which they know all too much about. But it'd be very interesting to see what Arsenal do with the lineup today. They lost on Wednesday night in Sweden and they've got a massive second leg against Häcken this coming Thursday night, so huge game for them. Manchester City won 5-0 in the first leg of their Champions League qualifier, so they're in a much nicer space in their tie. But I think the things to look out for in this game, first of all, who starts centrally in that number 10 position. There are options. There's Rosa Kafaji, there's Frida Maanum. Arsenal could start Alessia Russo there. Stina Blackstenius has an excellent scoring record against Manchester City. But a thing to look for is when Arsenal build play against Manchester City, they keep the ball central in their own half, because City is so strong out wide. They're so good at taking the ball off teams there and scoring from turnovers. So Arsenal probably won't involve the fullbacks very much. So those central players in central midfield, whether that's Kyra Cooney-Cross, whether Leah Volti comes in, whoever plays at number 10, they're going to be critical today for Arsenal. So we're underway here for a new WSL season. Team lineup: Stina Blackstenius leads the line after scoring 3 goals against Manchester City last season, and usually when Stina starts, Frida Maanum does start behind her, and I think that suggests Arsenal might be quite direct today. Have Stina kind of stretching that Man City back line, Frida Maanum pushing on, looking for the counter-pressing opportunities. But how Arsenal plays centrally in this game will be really, really key to how this game goes. So it's 1-0 Arsenal here. A few seconds ago, Arsenal was so close to going 1-0 down with a Vivianne Miedema long-range effort. Arsenal decided to build centrally, actually costing them in the first few minutes, ignoring some of the wide exits, playing into congested areas. Miedema took the ball off of Kyra Cooney-Cross and just sent one wide, but Arsenal have just gone up the other end and taken the lead. Caitlin Ford with a cross into the box, came off Stina Blackstenius' heel, broke free in the box, and there was Frida Maanum running on to smash the ball into the net. 1-0 to Arsenal. So we're just over halfway through the first half, and the pattern of this game really being established. Arsenal being very compact off the ball, almost in a 4-4-2, with Stina Blackstenius and Frida Maanum kind of pressing at the front, but Arsenal kind of sitting off and then looking to hit City on the break, particularly with those balls over the top. I watched the City defence warming up and they were really practising defending balls over the top, but Arsenal nearly went 2-0 up with one of those. And if you remember the game in November last year when Stina Blackstenius scores the winner, it's from a ball over the top from Katie McCabe. We nearly saw something very, very similar here, but Stina just wide. So pattern of this game, largely what you'd expect so far. So it's 1-1 and an air of inevitability about the goal scorer, with Vivianne Miedema scoring a deflected shot. Don't really think Arsenal deserve to concede. They've kept City at bay quite well and I think looked really threatening on the break, but the ball broke to Miedema on the edge of the area, kind of nudged it past Kim Little and then took a shot which deflects in, completely wrong foot Sinsberger. Miedema not celebrating, although that's not unusual really. 1-1 here, and a big blow for Arsenal before half-time, because I think they've kind of controlled this game in an off-the-ball, out-of-possession kind of way. Half-time here at Emirates Stadium, Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. I think Arsenal are a little bit unfortunate that it's level at half-time, although obviously it's been quite a tight, compact, tense game. Do think Arsenal deserve to be leading. They've been very, very compact out of possession, very, very obvious 4-4-2. Frida Maanum and Stina Blackstenius, I think, have been excellent in this half, both on and off the ball, and Arsenal kind of having a nice compact shape, allowing City to have the ball but carrying threat over the top on the counter. They took the lead early on through Frida Maanum, cross coming in and Frida running onto the ricochet and making it 1-0. And I think Arsenal look relatively comfortable, or as comfortable as you can look, against Manchester City, but an air of inevitability about Vivianne Miedema scoring the equaliser. And possibly emotion talking on my part, but just absurdly unfortunate. 3-4 ricochets in the space of a couple of seconds going for City, then a deflected shot going in completely wrong footing the goalkeeper. However, in fairness, Vivianne Miedema had a very good chance to score at 0-0, and that really could have gone in, so perhaps those two things evening each other out. But I think Arsenal's approach to this game has been very strong. It'll be interesting to see whether they adapt as the game goes on, because they've been very willing to sit off and let City have the ball and then kind of go over the top of them quite quickly, particularly because City's wingers stay very high, and if you get through their press you can expose them out wide, and Arsenal have shown that a fair few times in this half, and probably should have scored more than one goal as well. Stina Blackstenius with a couple of good chances, and I think she really should have taken one of them. 1-1 at half time. So beginning of the second half here, no personnel changes, but I do wonder how Arsenal will adapt as the game goes on. They've been very happy to not have the ball. I do wonder if they'll come out of their shell a little bit, or whether they'll consider this a very good approach against City. I do think they had the better of that first half, but obviously City have so much quality up front that there is an argument that if you let them have the ball too much in those advanced areas, they will find a way through. So interesting to see in the second half, particularly how Jonas Eidevall uses his substitution. And that's City taking the lead. Arsenal have completely dominated this half, but City have gone forward once. Lauren Hemp with the cross in was cleared to the edge of the area. Jess Park, under no pressure really, takes the ball down and hits the ball off the underside of the bar and in. It does kind of add to the feeling that Arsenal have been a little bit unfortunate on both goals, which have been, you know, a deflection and a really good hit in off the bar, but probably Arsenal punished for not making enough of their opportunities. Caitlin Ford did have the ball in the net in the first couple of minutes of this half, but when she looked onside, just about, it was flagged offside. So it feels a little bit like things are going against Arsenal here, but they're going to have to deal with that, and they're going to have to be clinical now with their chances. They're 2-1 down. So Beth Mead and Alessia Russo are on now, and there's maybe a little bit of danger now that Arsenal do have to come out a little bit more, and that's going to make City very dangerous on the counter-attack. And Arsenal have been a bit sloppy on the edge of their own box where both City goals have come from, but Arsenal have found spaces in the first kind of 60 minutes of this game. I think once they play through that pressure, there is space in behind City. I think the fear for me now is, now that City have the advantage, they might close some of those spaces up. So interesting to see how Arsenal deal with having the impetus on them to attack now, because that's very much the case. So that's the equaliser. Arsenal 2, Manchester City 2, and my word, has that been a long time coming. Alessia Russo through one-on-one, really tame finish. Just feels like, again, Arsenal really not clinical enough with their chances, but they've scored this time. Lovely play by Katie McCabe, leapfrogging Chloe Kelly and Kim Little and playing a nice ball in behind to Rosa Kafaji, who's been stationed out on the left-hand side. Her shot hits the post, it comes back out to Beth Mead, probably Arsenal's best finisher. She makes no mistake from the rebound. 2-2.
41,818. Thank you for your magnificent support. The fourth officials indicating a minimum of 7 minutes added time. 7 minutes.
Finished here at Emirates Stadium, Arsenal 2, Manchester City 2. On one hand, a feeling that Arsenal had a lot of chances in this game, and even with 2 goals, probably didn't make the most of them. 2 one-on-ones both missed, for example. But on the other hand, when you're 2-1 down against Manchester City with, 10-15 minutes to go, you can't grumble with the draw really. And it's Beth Mead coming off the bench to score the equaliser. I think that's illustrative. I think Beth Mead is the one who usually does finish her chances. But so much that was tactically interesting in this game. Arsenal really sitting off in the first half and trying to hit City with balls over the top. But then in the second half, Arsenal very much got braver on the ball, I think, a little bit more intent, but at the same time going in the other direction. I think Arsenal had a real problem with the second ball against City. Arsenal know how dangerous City are from crosses. They dealt with the first cross quite well, but so often the ball was coming to the edge of the area and City were getting the second shot off, and that's where they go 2-1 up. That's more or less where their first goal comes from as well, so that was a little detail Arsenal didn't take care of. But again, really felt like when Arsenal played through the press, they could have exposed City a little bit more. But nevertheless, a 2-2 draw at home to Manchester City on the first day of the season is no disaster at all. These games are usually very, very tight. Somehow they almost never finish as draws. But this one has, and it's very difficult to complain about that on the day. Arsenal 2, Manchester City 2.